Hi, Nicole. I decided to do some audio feedback so I could hopefully get it back to you more quickly and get grades posted. Hope you don't mind. Your abstract looks really good. I like that you included the number of studies and the types of the studies in the abstract. In general, this is good. Here at the beginning of the introduction, the bond between animals and humans has been continually studied and it has led to an increase in animal assisted therapy. Do you have any evidence to support that statement? How do you know that there's been an increase in animal assisted therapy as a therapeutic intervention technique? A citation here to support that statement would be really helpful. It would be good here to maybe, you want to draw the reader in. So, what is the scope of the problem? What is the prevalence of Alzheimer's disease and dementia? You're saying it occurs frequently and causes psychological symptoms. Well, why should I care about that? What is the scope of the problem? So you want to make some sort of statement to draw the reader in and make the reader care about this topic that you have researched. Remember your APA here that when you have multiple authors within the same citation, they should be in alphabetical order by the primary author's last name. So Berry et al. Should be first. They should be separated here, yep, by a semicolon, but you do not put the and here. If this is a separate study, you need a semicolon, don't use the and. What were the authors measuring here? This is the P-score, but what correlation were they attempting to make? Depressive symptoms and animal-assisted therapy. So there was no statistical significance in depressive. I'm not quite sure what the results are trying to say here. So it would be good to explain this a little bit more rather than just giving the numbers. I would like to see a higher level of synthesis here. This section is more of an annotated bibliography where you're talking about the individual results of the individual studies. You've got one concluding statement, but really you haven't truly synthesized this information. How can you compare and contrast versus just reporting on these individual studies? I'd like to see a little bit more of that. This section is a bit better in terms of the level of synthesis. You have a little bit more of a compare and contrast when you're talking about the different animals that were used. So that one is much better. With the limitations and strength section, you also want to talk about globally the state of the research. What are the limitations when you look at the scope of the research on this topic? What are the strengths when it comes to the scope of the research with this topic? Oh, sorry, a little bit tired. Rather than looking at the strengths and limitations of the individual studies. That's okay to do that too, but you also want to look at the overall picture. In terms of the relationship of the research to occupational therapy, you want to focus more on the global profession of OT versus how a specific occupational therapist might use the results. You're talking about they might be able to bring a dog into nursing homes or something. Think more globally that occupational therapists work with people with Alzheimer's and dementia. So it's important to know if this specific type of intervention will work. So, think more globally versus how a specific occupational therapist might treat someone, think more globally about the usefulness of this research to the profession of occupational therapy. You also should talk a little bit about the difficulty in really being able to interpret the results, because there was so much inconsistency in the animals that were used and the setting and the length of time and how everything was implemented. It makes it difficult to determine the results with any certainty. So you talked a little bit about, more research being needed, et cetera, but you really want to focus on the fact that, yeah, although there were some positive outcomes in this, it's difficult to determine the effectiveness of animal assisted therapy because of these inconsistencies in the study designs and methods, et cetera. So you really want to discuss that a little bit more. But overall, you did a nice job here. I'm just going to take a look at your APA, which should be pretty good at this point because I've given everyone lots of feedback on the APA already. So it's looking good. Looking very good. Okay. That looks very good. Nicely done on the APA. Okay. Overall, Nicole, you did a really nice job here. I hope you're having a wonderful break, and I will hopefully get this to you very soon.